Welcome back to my channel. I am Sian Maria. I'm a witch, a pagan and a nomad living in my van with my small family. Today's video is going to be about the May full moon. The previous videos that I've done on the full moon, I've done a few. I've done one for each of the full moons so far this year, maybe apart from the first one, I can't remember now. And I'm going to try and link the full moon playlist somewhere if I can. I'm not really sure how to do that yet, so if I can figure that out then I will. And those videos that I've done in the past have been like, I figure out what I'm going to say in this chunk and then I film it, then I figure out the next chunk and I move and I film it. This video is going to be set up more how I've done my more recent videos, which is to just talk to camera. So if you do bear with me, as I might kind of stop and start and sort of figure out where I'm at and what I want to talk about. Hopefully I can get a bit better at doing this in flow, but there might be some stopping and starting so far. So where to start? What I've been doing, if you've watched any of my other videos on the full moon, is I've been really interested in the names of each of the full moons. And one of the main things that I'm really finding in my research as I go through the months doing these moons, is that most of the names, the cultures and the peoples that really actually named their moons were more based in North America. The main names that we get for each moon tend to be from North America. So for example, for May, for this month, the most common, well-used name at the moment is the flower moon, and that has its origins in North America. A lot of the European, Celtic, kind of British Isles type people, they would have had symbols, they would have had maybe names for the months rather than the moons. They may have had things that they would call certain agricultural moments in the year. And a lot of the names that maybe we might find to do with the moon are probably more likely modern reconstructions. So I just want to acknowledge that before I go into actually giving out some names here, because some of these might have actual basis in more ancient cultures. Some of them may have basis in ancient cultures, but not have been exactly what they called the name that they had for the moon. And some of these may be more modern reconstructions. However, I don't think, in my opinion, that takes away from I was going to say importance, but from the value of having names for the full moons. I think it's a really nice way to be able to quickly hear the name of the moon and kind of understand what the energy is and understand what that full moon holds and during that time of year. So I really like this. I also really like being able to bring in names that are more based in different cultures. So for example, I've been really enjoying looking at more names that are attached to Europe and Britain, like ancient Britain, because some names work for both North America and more Europe environments, and some of them are quite different. So I love to be able to explore some of those more European names. And if you are from somewhere not in North America and not in Europe, I really encourage you to either look into the history of the names that your ancestors or the ancestors of your land that you're on would have used, or even looking into, if they didn't have any names, for example, looking into what names could be, what were or are the dominant themes or important moments, I'm trying to find a word, important moments during this time, during the month of May, that really stand out and could be given to the moon. And maybe that's something that you can connect to more than something from North America or Europe or anywhere else. So a little bit of a caveat on all of that. So let me get my head on straight. So what do we have here? These are kind of from all over. I'm going to try and give a little bit of a link to where they're actually originated from. So we have the flower moon. Like I said, did I mention that? I can't remember. So this May moon The main name that we use at the moment in our modern times is the flower moon. These names are, as far as I can tell, generally a bit more connected to Wicca, maybe. I might be completely wrong there, but they tend to be a bit more of this kind of modern neo-pagan names, and the flower moon is the one given by the more modern practices of witchcraft and paganism. There is strong, as far as I can tell, strong links with North America. There are a lot of tribes, so the reason there are a lot of names that come out of North America is that each of the indigenous tribes would have had their own names, or at least different regions would have had different names. So there's a lot of names that do come from North America as well. There also seems to be some evidence of the flower moon being used both in Wales and in Europe, and obviously this is due to the widespread of wildflowers actually blooming. So this isn't necessarily just about blossoms, this is about all types of flowers really starting to bloom at this time of the year. Another really strong one was the milk moon. We have origins in North America, Celtic pagans, Anglo-Saxons, and in Europe. The strongest one seems to be from England, from the Anglo-Saxons. In Old English, they would have called it the tree milk month. I think it's not actually said that way in Old English, but it's like the modern English interpretation of Old English, if that makes sense, was the tree milk month, which is the three milkings month. And it's the time when the cows would have been milked 3 times a day. So this like huge abundance of milk. And obviously that's a lot of backstory into the English origins, but I think that's pretty similar across the other origins as well. This is a time when animals would have been producing a lot of milk because obviously they would have had young to feed. So in the agricultural terms of things, the farmers would have been milking their cows a lot and there would have been an abundance of milk. We next have, I'm sorry, I've got like a real tickle in my nose, so I'm sorry if I keep wiping my nose. Like I just feel like I've got like a piece of fluff. So just in case anyone's noting that, I apologize. Then also from North America and maybe from Europe, we have the planting moon. Again, very agricultural reference. And we kind of started with this a little bit last month. It's time when planting and sowing seeds, especially crops, as far as I can tell, would have been really strong at this point. So this is quite an active time. I think last month we were looking into this building up energy, everything was starting to ramp up, and this month of May is like, no, you have to like get things done. So we're not in the heat of summer of like everything, like super activity, but this is like a lot of prep work, really big prep work. We have the frog moon from North America because they would have had more active frogs. And then we also have, these are the ones that tend to be a bit more probably folk terminology, so that they might not have been actually called these names like the something moon, but the terminology and the ideas and the themes would have been very, very prevalent in ancient times. So we have the mother's moon, which has some Celtic and European links, and it's just really highly associated with this fertility, with nurturing, with growing things, with like raising things. So mothers in terms of humans, but also in terms of animals. And I find that's a really, really strong theme for this moon overall, actually. We also have the hare moon, which again in the same theme because hares obviously have a lot of babies. We have a lot of this Celtic, Welsh and European origins, or some links at least, very again linked to this symbol of fertility when it comes to hares, because hares were very strongly linked to fertility. We have the grass moon, which has links in Celtic pagans and European pagans, and kind of names itself. There was just like a lot more grass. I've definitely been noticing this in my own environment, is like really lush green grass, but also like a lot more green on the trees as well. Then we have the blossom moon, which more has links to Europe, and again, kind of self-explanatory. Blossoms, a lot of blossoms. And I think this can be very unique to your environment, because I find that even within England, where I am, the blossoms come out at different times where you are in England, and England is quite a small country. So I do think that there's going to be different months that you would associate with the blossom moon, depending on your specific location. And then there's two names which tend to look a little bit more like they're modern reconstructions, but could still have basis in a name if you want to link them to that. And we have the budding moon, which is really noticing the budding of the leaves, like when those little baby leaves start to come out. This has a lot more links with North America. And yeah, that can be a really great one. I personally wouldn't link that one to England because we saw more budding in our trees last month and the month before. So for me, this would be kind of late to name it the budding moon. But for places more in like my sister lives in Canada, and she's only just starting to notice these budding leaves now. So that would be like a more appropriate name for her, for example. And then finally, we have the bright moon, which has links to the Celts, the Welsh and Europeans. And basically this is just days are longer, and days are noticeably, very significantly longer. It's really it's not just they're noticeably longer, but there's also this impact of the light. So it allows us and them in the past to do things for a lot longer during the day and earlier in the morning. So the bright moon is the last one. So I'm just going to say those again in case you want to hear them. So we have the flower moon, the milk moon, the planting moon, the frog moon, mother's moon, hare moon, grass moon, blossom moon, budding moon, and bright moon. And there may be many, many more. If you have any that you actively use, then please let me know in the comments. If you have any that you would like to use, because just because these are names that we used in the past doesn't mean that those are the ones we have to use. Like nobody is officially naming these moons, especially if you're using these in your sort of witchcraft or pagan practices. Use what feels good to you. There's nobody needs to tell you what is right or wrong as to what you personally connect to this moon. So I really encourage you to either have a look into one of these names of the moons, have a look into other options that maybe are more appropriate to your environment, or maybe even have a look into what you would like pick a different name and let me know in the comments because I'd love to know. And then generally speaking, let's have a look at the themes that go over this moon. So as I've said before, I think one of the big ones that we're looking at is this nurturing, mothering, hold on, oh, my nose. It literally feels like I've got a feather at the end of my nose. It's so crazy. Start again. Themes. We have mothering, we have nurturing, we have fertility, which is a really, really big one. I found a lot of the previous ones had this very plant-based references, so a lot of like emerging from the ground, emerging from the soil, growing, and this type of thing. And this one very much seems a little bit more animal-based. It feels very mothering. It feels very like something's just been born. It could go to a plant as well. A plant could have just sprouted, and it's in its really delicate phase. So think of a little new sprout. Think of a tiny little baby that's like struggling to walk and kind of find its feet. Something is in its very infancy, its fragile infancy, and it needs our care and gentleness as well. This isn't harsh, this isn't forcing something to happen. It's like being very gentle, very careful, giving it our full attention, and really making sure that we are helping it grow. And what I want to connect that to is things that we can do now. So we might not be raising animals, we might not be trying to grow plants, but we are trying probably to grow things in our lives. So let's just say we're starting a project. Maybe this is a house project, a work project, a relationship, something that you're working on in yourself, fitness or mental health or healing journey, like whatever it could be, artistic endeavor, whatever it could be. If we have been following the moon up until now, following the year, following the seasons up until now, we will probably have worked through some of that much deeper work in the winter. And then as we've moved through early spring, we've started kind of planting these seeds, and we've started to think about the ideas that we want to grow. We've kind of started putting things in place, but it's been very tentative, right? Now in May is this time to say, right, something's already started growing. Either a plant has already started growing or an animal has already been born. The baby has been born, and now it needs our love and our attention. It needs consistency. That's a big theme, I think, for this moon, is consistency. Care, gentleness, attention, and focus. It needs our presence and our awareness. Growth is a really big one, obviously, as I've kind of said that quite a few times, but growth and the act of growing, right? Like, it's not just like something's grown and now it's blooming. It's like, it's really the act of growing and kind of moving through some of those growing pains. What else do we have here? Momentum was a really nice one. I like momentum. And it's like making sure we keep the momentum, not dropping the momentum. I know for myself, this is something I really struggle with, is like consistency and keeping momentum. So I think this is a really nice time to look at that. If you also struggle with this, if you've started something and it's not, what am I trying to say? It's not at its fullest yet. It's not fully grown. It's not flowering, like I said a minute ago. And it's really easy to then be like, oh, it's not working. Like, move on to the next thing. That's it. I'm done. And this month, this moon is really asking us to stay focused. So even if something is hard, even if something doesn't look like it's growing as fast or as well as you want it to, if you've started something, if you've already brought something into existence, keep at it. Keep at it, be gentle with it, be gentle with yourself, but be consistent and keep that momentum and allow it to come to its full bloom in the summer. But in order to do that, in order to bring it to its full bloom in summer, we need to nurture it and nourish it now. So nurturing and nourishment of anything that we are starting to bring into existence. That's like probably the biggest theme that overall really for this moon, but also abundance, production, creating things, making things, putting things out there, and a bit of preparation for summer. In the autumn, for example, we prepare to bunker down in the winter. We have some preparation here in the spring, but it's a preparation for expansion. So it's a different type of preparation. We're not preparing to go inwards, we're preparing to go outwards. That's another big one as well. And then I also want to talk about a kind of then versus now idea of what things would have happened in ancient times, and how we can learn from them. I think in the last few videos, I've been trying to think like, how are they connected? But they're not connected because we don't have the same lifestyle. We don't have the same environment that people in ancient times had. So what I really like to think of is how we can learn from how they interacted with this time of year and how we can bring that into our modern lives. And now I've lost my notes. Bear with me. So, big one that I think I've just been through, continue, don't start. So this isn't a time for starting. Hopefully something will have already started. And another thing I was kind of coming across, which I think is a nice reminder, is you might have not actively, intentionally started something, but given the time of year, something has probably already started for you in your life. So whether it's intentionally something you started or whether it's something that started without your input, whatever it is, keep it going. So continue, nurture and nourish. We kind of already talked about that. Another one is to embrace this consistency and what's the wording I want to use here? Steady repetition. Yeah, steady repetition. So being gentle. Again, this isn't a force. This isn't a big summer, really hard, fiery push. This is very intentional and soft and like intentionally grounded. That's kind of what I want to say. There's this, what did I say? Steady repetition rather than this big burst of energy. So try to think of things that we can do daily, taking the idea of that 3 milking month from the Anglo-Saxons, this tree milk month. They're just like milking the cows 3 times a day. It's like very consistent. It's like, this is what we're doing. Yeah, this is what we're doing. There's no big bright ideas. It's like, just do the thing, do the rhythm, get into the flow and kind of get that thing done daily. And that's kind of where we're at now. Build some habits. some very nourishing habits, habits that feel good, not ones that feel like forced into your structure or into your life, but something that feels very integrated and something that's really going to feed whatever it is that you're trying to grow. Follow what is already gaining energy is another one I put down here. So again, maybe it's not something you intentionally started, but something you're following. And maybe you're trying to do a project. I'm kind of finding this at the moment with my work projects that I'm doing. You might have had an idea of how you wanted something to look. So how do I describe this without being too specific? You might have an idea of what you wanted to create, and you had this path that you were going on, like this path right here, and something's popped up and this is working. Like you didn't even intentionally want to go down this path, but this is working and this one isn't really working. So don't be afraid to actually just follow what is working and try to keep with that. Don't try and force something to happen just because you thought that was going to be the right way. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, just like flow with what's already gaining energy. And yeah, try and move out of planning now. This isn't planning, this is more preparation for the summer, like I said. So if you still feel like there's some planning left to do, definitely go for it. But don't try to get stuck in that planning stage right now. We're at the end of spring. The planning, we can kind of wrap up the planning. Like I said, figure out what's working, what's not working, and maybe you can kind of like, what's the word? Refine your plans now. But try not to get stuck in that planning loop, because we really want to make sure that we're preparing for summer and actually taking action and really expanding and making things happen. Yeah, so that they aren't super specific, but they're just some lessons that we can learn from the past and hopefully bring that and benefit our lives now. And let me see if there's anything else I want to say specifically about this time. Okay, I think that's everything I want to chat about. But to finish off, I'm going to do a little card pull from my Queen of the Moon Oracle deck. So let's just see what extra message there is. The main word I'm going into this with is nurture and nourishment, but I want to see if anything else comes through from the card. So let me just wake up my deck. Okay. So calling in a message for all of us for this full moon to guide us, to give us any extra messages that want to come through, to let us know what wants to be seen in ourselves through this next cycle, through this next full moon. Let's see what we have. Okay, so we have my light. We have resilience. I'm trying again so you can't see the light. Let me try and do this. There we go. Nope, it's not working. I apologize. There we go. Resilience. So I think this is a really lovely one, actually, especially the image. She's carrying like a bag of plants. I think they're supposed to be kind of like weeds and sharp things. There's also like some tentacles, and she's got an egg on her back as well. So yeah, a lot of imagery going on here, but I'm getting this plant energy and resilience. I think that's a really beautiful addition to the message that's already coming through with this moon. I've said nurturing and nourishment, but I've also said that there's this consistency that's needed and this level of sticking with what you've already started, even if it doesn't feel comfortable, even if it feels like, oh, okay, but that's not working. Or I've tried really hard and nothing's coming out of it. I've been watering it like every single day and I'm not seeing the sprout, you know, that kind of idea. So it's asking, I feel, for this, for this like very soft, gentle, let me turn that off so it doesn't go again. This like soft, gentle resilience. How can we make sure that we're sticking with what we've already started? How can we make sure that we are giving it the time and attention, the love and the care that it deserves? How can we push through some of our own reservations, some of our own barriers to push through things like lack of consistency, to push through things of fear of failure, or putting effort in and not seeing instant results. What's that called? Instant gratification. to work on this like delayed gratification. Yeah, I think that's a really, 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 really beautiful addition to the message that's already coming through, is resilience. So that's going to mean different things to different people. I'm really trying not to put my own thing on this, but for me, the resilience is just stick with it. Like, stop giving up. You've given up so many times in the past. And I feel like this message wants to come through. It's hitting me in a certain way, but I feel like it's going to hit other people in different ways. So take this message that I'm about to say into your own personal experience and see kind of where it hits you. So you may have tried something so many times, you may have failed at it so many times, but how can you keep going? How can you keep with this? How can you trust, whether that's trust in energy, the universe, whether that's trust in yourself, whether that's trust in your skill or your art or your relationship, or plans that you've made in the past, whatever it is, how can you just trust that what you're doing is going to get you the result that you want? And it might not be in the way that you expect it. Remember before we said there might be one path that you were thinking you're going to go down and you're going to go down a different one. Maybe that's quite unknown as well. You might not, you're like, how am I going to go down this path and get the actual thing that I wanted? So the resilience, I feel, is also this like level of trust and not kind of giving into fear either. Yeah, so I'd love to know if that message means anything to you. If you want to drop that in the comments and let me know kind of where that hits you. Don't share if you don't feel like you want to share, obviously, but I'd love to know if that brings up anything for anyone as they heard that message. So where are we at? Make sure I've still got a little bit of time left to film. Yes. Okay, so thank you so much for sitting with me during this video. I think this is going to be a really, really beautiful month and a really beautiful full moon. I think this is some lovely energy, and I think it's really asking us to bring something beautiful into the world, whatever it is for you. And this just needs our time and our love and our attention and a bit of that mothering energy. Yeah, I think that's it from me. I'm trying to add stuff in, but I think that's it from me. Oh gosh, my phone's going off again. I think that's it. That's time. That's the alarm. That's time. Thank you so much for joining me. If I do actually have a full moon gathering that I'm doing with my sister tomorrow, but I think I'm going to be putting this up a bit late, and I think the tickets may have already stopped. But if you want to go and have a look and check that out, it will be in the link in the description. And we also do that every month, so you can join us next month for the next full moon if you're interested. And like I said, if you would like to support me on Patreon, if you love these videos and you really like what I put out there, your support on Patreon would mean the absolute world to me. So hopefully see you over there in our little community as well. And until next time, bye.